Ferguson! Bob! I hardly knew you. I can't believe it. Talking about the wealth tax, which, by the way, is constitutionally... Unconstitutional, but it doesn't matter. The Democrats won more of your money. And now Bob Ferguson says...
Could you support either the wealth tax or the jumpstart style?
Say no, Bob. Say no. Say no to the wealth tax. Say no. Get ready with the musical. Get Andrew.
Tax.
Yes, I mean, again, I'm just not focused on that. I did place in the document that you're going to see here that's literally, I think, being released now. I do have a quote in there, right, a comment on the wealth tax. You'll have to find the exact words, but I think I express deep skepticism
yes!
of the wealth tax.
Deep skepticism, that's right. To value an asset before selling the asset and then being taxed on an unrealized gain is constitutionally unconstitutional. And Bob Ferguson says no to the wealth tax. Take that, Democrats.
Money is money. You can do anything you want with it.
Yeah, all right. Next one. Governor-elect Bob Ferguson is calling for across-the-board. God.
I'm asking every state agency to propose their budget cuts. So there will be an equivalent of 6% across all state agencies.
Oh, yes! Amazing, Bob Ferguson. Are we sure he's a Democrat? Calling for across-the-board spending cuts to address the budget deficit. Woo! I'm telling you, I'm getting all tingly. I'll feel the way I felt when I was high school wrestling in weird positions. Here we go. Here comes the next one.
Save that one.
No, there's music underneath it. Are there any sacred cows?
There are no sacred cows. There's a reason why I picked the AG's office for a $35 million fund sweep. Okay. In addition, their 6% cut. I want to communicate to all agencies, if I'm willing to do that to an agency I care a great deal about, okay, you too have to take part in this.
There you go, slaughtering sacred cows. That's right. No cows will be sacred under Bob Ferguson. Is this real? Is he really saying all this sort of stuff? Why is he saying it? Can I trust him? Oh, this is one of the best. I tell you something. You knock me over the feather right now. Remember when he sat down with the Seattle Times like a couple weeks or a week before the election, and he's saying, believe me, I don't want to raise taxes. Believe me. And I kept thinking, that can't be true. There's no way. There's no way. He's saying all this stuff now. It's like, wow, this could be really good. This could be good. One last one. Ready?
We are not going to tax our way out of this thing. Not going to happen, right? The people expect us to get serious about that.
There you go. Hit it one more time, please, Andrew. Please. Can't tax your way out of it. That's right. I tell you something. I give open mind here. This would be great. Really great. Smart. Because remember, we've never reduced sales tax. We don't cut taxes in the state of Washington. The budget continues to increase every single year. We had Representative Jim Walsh on yesterday explaining, look, they say there's this big budget deficit. They're just forecasting this sort of stuff. It was a chance for them to get in there and start raising taxes. Now, here comes Bob Ferguson, your governor-elect in there. And one last thing. He says the state needs to get serious about the deficit. Okay, we don't need that one. All right, there. Good. This would be great.
Well, and Jim said yesterday if his response to the wealth tax specifically would be either a huge red flag or a huge green flag for the legislature and just politics in general on both sides this year.
Yeah. So this is good. Listen, now he's got to make sure that if he continues with this line of thinking, it at least gives some Democrats some cover, right? Because they'll get a lot of pressure from their socialist friends that believe a bigger government is a better government. So they will be able to go, well, look, the governor kind of going over here. So they start to move over there and at least allow the taxpayers in the state of Washington to get some relief. We always talk about what's so unfair to the middle class. I have an idea. Then why don't you give them a break? Why don't you actually lower taxes for people? But no, they don't want to do that. Just continue to get more and more. So this is good news. This is amazing. Why did when did this come out?
Not long ago.
Oh, okay. So, you don't want to be like 2 days late on it.
I'm it's weird saying this, but I'm really proud of your reaction because you did say it was in December when that Times article came out. We had Jim Walsh on then as well, and you guys both said, "Hey, listen, if he comes correct on the tax issue and the deficit issue, we will give him a fair chance."
Right. Now, let's remember, God bless his soul, Dory Monson called Inslee when Inslee first was running for governor and said, I will not raise taxes. And I think he was on Dory's show and said, I'm not going to go in there and raise taxes. And right after he got in there, he raised taxes. And Dory used to pound away at that all the time about blatantly lying to him.
We've got to pound it, and we've got to pound it till it's done.
Right. Just keep pounding it till it's done. In this case, I hope he sticks by this because you can't continue to raise taxes. You drive businesses away. Taxes are paid by people. They're not paid by corporations. When they talk about, we're going to tax a corporation, every single tax is in everything you buy, right? There's a great interview. I think he was on with Johnny Carson. With Ronald Reagan was on with Johnny Carson. And he said, when they talk about taxing corporations, he said, in the suit that I'm wearing right now, there are 169 taxes. Taxes, when they say they're paid by corporation, there's three people that pay taxes. So when it's paid by the corporation, it is either paid by the customer, right? It is paid by the employee. So the employee's not getting more money from the corporation, right? Or it is paid by the shareholder that is holding the value of that stock. So the money goes away, not paid by corporations. It is paid by people, either the shareholder of the stock, either the employee or the customer. So when you hear people like Elizabeth Warren or anyone of these other, like, for instance, when Noel Frame, the Democrat senator who accidentally sent the email out, we're going to tax corporations. You can't. That's not who pays it. So to give people this false idea, don't worry, you're not going to pay it. Corporations will pay their fair share. Where does the money come from? It's from you. It's always from you. So this idea of, don't tax me, tax the man behind the tree, the corporations will pay it and it won't affect me.
Learn some economics.
Absolutely. Just 101 basic economics. Gee whiskers, but way to go. One more time. We need an AI song for Bob Ferguson.
All right.
We got to get him on.
Yes.
I got him all tingly about Bob Ferguson. I feel the way I felt when I was high school wrestling in weird positions. Yeah, certain moves got you in it. Once you're like, whew, is he allowed to put that there? Hey, Coach.
Checking the oil.
Coach.
It's a real move.
Oh, God, it's so gross. So gross.
But it made you tingly somehow.
Oh, no, just like, I want to wrestle anymore. Because I would never wrestle. The freshman year, I'd never wrestled before. Yeah. And a football coach goes, hey, you should probably look into wrestling. Because I didn't want to run track. I thought I'll do wrestling. And I really liked it. I mean, I liked the sit out, and I did all the different moves and stuff like that. But then, first match, the guy, what was I wrestling, 136 or something? That guy smelled so bad. Yeah. And I'm very olfactory sensitive. Very. More than most. Yeah. And I remember that guy got me in a hold, and I was just like, And I thought, I got to get out of this, but I got to get some breath to keep fighting. And it was awful. And I said later on to the coach, we're going back in the locker room, you learned a lot today. Because I was trying to turtle up on him and didn't want him to roll me. Yeah. And then he took his knee and put it between my soleus and gastrus, back there on the calf. Oh, my God, he pressed down on that thing, and I flipped over, and he pinned me. So I'm going back in the locker room and go, Coach, just curiosity, is there, like, rules and stuff about, like, showering? It's like, what do you mean? I was like, just that particular guy smelled really bad. Is that, like, something people do? Yeah, it's what they do. Get used to it.
Also a hotbed for ringworm and staph infections.
You did. A little bit of Mercer. Mm-hmm. Get your face down there in the Mac. Get yourself some Mercer. All right. All right. Thank you, Bob Ferguson, for giving us some hope that taxes will not continue. It's always you get into discussion with people, the politics, you say, do you like big government or do you like small government? And then you have to define big government. Let's define big government. How about China? Too big? Not big enough. Right? What do you want it to be? How big do you want the government to be? Do you want it to have no minimum wage? Oh, good. So like in Switzerland and Denmark and Norway, no minimum wage. How much government do you want to have control? How much freedom do you want? How much safety do you want? Now, sometimes they don't go along together. You can have freedom, but you can also have security. Because if you want us to pay for your health care and you want us to pay for your food and you want us, not the government, it's us, to pay for your housing, well, then if that's going to happen, then, well, they're going to have control. So they'll tell you what to eat. They'll tell you where to sleep. They'll tell you everything. And you will give up your freedom, but in return, you will get security. What type of security is it and how much choices you get? Well, that'll be up to someone else other than you. That will be the elimination of the free market, right? The laissez-faire idea of, well, it's every man for himself and may the best man win and the markets will work effectively. That does work. There will be some people that will be caught that are in the safety net, that are down on their luck, that need a helping hand to be lifted up. But it is a net to climb out of. It is not a hammock to live in. So that's just generally the idea. Generally, the bigger the government, the less freedom you have, but then the more safety you have. Free from want that Roosevelt talked about. Free from want and need. Do you really want the government to do that for you? Well, then you're going to have to pay for it. And you'll pay for it more and more every single day. Like, for instance, now they're getting into childcare. It's always been into childcare. The cost of childcare is so high. When they're going to talk about the government bringing down the cost, there's not one thing that the government does that brings the cost down on anything. Healthcare, 225% in the last 20 years. College, more than 200 and some percent as well. When it comes to textbooks, anything that the government gets involved in that wants to bring the cost of something down, it always goes up. Yes,
well, look what happened.
Man in there with a hat on for no reason.
Look what happened in California when they tried to keep the cost of insurance down.
Sure, there you go.
They got thousands of people.
Right. So California said, "Hey, we're going to protect you from these awful, villainous insurance companies that want to try to raise your rates." The insurance companies said, "Listen, we've done the numbers, done the analysis between all the permitting and the restrictions and everything that you're putting in place there." In order to rebuild that house, if that house were to burn down, if something were to happen to that home, the rebuilding cost would be X. So therefore, we need to be able to raise our rates. And California, coming in to protect the citizens of California, said, no, you can't raise the rates. So then the insurance company said, well, then we can't do business here. And away they went. And tragic story. The woman was on the news, I think, 2 days ago, talked about her parents had lived in this house. They're in their 90s. They had lived in the house for more than 50 years. The insurance had gotten canceled to them, and it burned to the ground. They have nothing. Nothing. And by the way, those people that are in Palisade Heights that have their beautiful $20 million or $30 million houses right there above the ocean, they will not be able to rebuild because the people that are in charge in California didn't like the fact that you were there anyway, didn't want you to have that view. The envy and the jealousy of the bureaucrats that run the government will make sure that you will not be able to get permits to get that house back in place. It will be about, yes, one more question.
This is unrelated, but who gets credit for the hammock and the net analogy? That's a good one.
That is a safety net is a
net you should get out of, not a hammock to live in.
I don't know. Reagan might have said that. A lot of conservative people have said that. Yeah, and then that's not me.
Well, I didn't.
You got a Googleating. You got a Googleating machine there. You can look it right up there.
Fine.
By the way, are cows sacred?
There are no sacred cows. There's a reason why I picked the AG's office for a $35 million fund sweep.
Okay, so right now cows are not happy, but the rest of us should be. Bob Ferguson didn't vote for you, but if you hold true to this idea that we cannot tax our way out of this, God bless you.